Hey, what's up guys, my name is Ajono and welcome to episode 19 of the Sparky Game Engine series in which we create a beautiful non-working engine from scratch in C++. Let's fix this bug. I don't know how I managed to... My memory must have been pretty clean last time because it did somehow manage to read a memory address of 0 for the texture, but we had a problem where if you probably would have had this problem if you pulled episode 18 from GitHub, but there was an access violation somewhere. We tried to get the texture ID here, and it just resulted in failure. So let's switch to debug mode and see if we can get any more information. I actually know what the problem is. I'm just pretending, but it should be good. So you can see that we're in texture.h and we're getting an access violation. Basically, it's like I want to access mtid. Oh wait, there's no memory allocated for that field. Disaster. So that means that our mtexture, which of course has this great system of, if it's null, then let's return 0. It's obviously not equal to null pointer somehow. It should be, but it's not. So it is going to this condition and trying to get the idea of something that actually is null. So it is null, but this is failing. Because if you hover your mouse over it, you can see it's 0x Anyway, it's not 0. Right? The memory address isn't 0, but you can see that it doesn't actually exist, unable to read memory, right? So we need to fix that. So basically, the problem is that we're never actually instantiating mtexture to null pointer. It's just it'll be some random value. We're just reading something that doesn't exist. So what we should do is, when we create, and this is just so in every constructor, you can just do this here, of course. You can set mtexture to null pointer, okay? So let's make sure that we're doing that, and we've got one more constructor here, so don't forget about that one. I'll just do this. All right, really important, and it will fix this up. If we run this now, it should be the best. Okay, there we go. It's all working. One thing we should probably say as well is that, I mean, I don't know why I wrote this. It probably makes more sense like this. If it's null pointer, we're returning 0. Otherwise, we're doing this. But we could have just done if mtexture, then this. Otherwise, 0. And that probably would look a bit nicer. So basically it's saying that if it's not false, and false would be if it was 0, which is null pointer. Null pointer is just 0 basically. So if it's 0, which means it's null, return, if it's not 0, return this. Otherwise, if it is 0, return 0. So if we run this, it'll have the same result, but probably looks a bit cleaner. Okay, cool. There we go. So yes. So it's pretty cool kind of how, like in C++, you can kind of pass in an object as like an if statement thing. Obviously, it's not an object, it's just a pointer. So it is a memory address. So you're saying, basically, if mtexture is 0, if it's null, you'll have that. And if it's not null, you'll have like some kind of memory address, right? Which would default to being true. Because anything that's greater than, anything that's not 0 is basically true. Anyway, enough about that. Let's actually get on with the episode. I'm just amazed that I managed to actually push that broken code. But let's talk about how our font rendering is going to work. So we're in debug mode. Good. Last time we created, we didn't create anything actually. We got FreeType and FreeType.gl to work. They're part of our project because of Emscripten and because we actually need to compile them for the web and convert them into JavaScript using Emscripten in the future. That's why I popped them here. But more importantly, they're totally working. Now we need to use them to render basically font using our batch renderer. So we could create a brand new renderer that just deals with fonts. That's not an ideal situation. Remember, a batch renderer just renders a bunch of stuff, so there's no reason we shouldn't be able to submit fonts to it. And also, if we do stuff like, there's a few, if we have it as a separate renderer, it means it's going to be a completely separate layer, which means it's going to have separate uniforms. It's going to be, it could use the same shader, obviously, but it needs to do a variety of things that just aren't good. And then if you want text to be behind, say, a few sprites, you can't actually do that unless you put the whole layer behind. Anyway, I guess, you could probably just, there's a few ways. Well, yeah, you could do that. Let me take that back, because you could just change the Z value. But in a 2D scenario, right, you do want to basically submit things in a particular order, and that is kind of the rendering order, right? Anyway, all that aside, we need a system to render fonts into our batch renderer. So let's open up Mischief and begin planning this out. So here's our scenario. I want to be able to somehow, I don't know from where, I just want to be able to, this is our end result. I want to be able to call drawString, okay? I want to specify a string such as hello, right? I want to specify an X and a Y. And I want to draw that, okay? That's my scenario. I probably want to somewhere set a font, possibly in here. I actually, you know what? I probably want to have a color. So like pink, because that's like the best. Yeah. And maybe somewhere else, there'll be some kind of way to set a font or something like that. I don't know. It might even take a font in here or something, not sure. But basically, this is what we're aiming for. We want to be able to do this. How will we do this? Well, our layers are in charge of pretty much everything to do with actual graphics, but they're like the high-level version of a renderer, right? So they kind of organize us. So layer should probably have drawString, which would probably send the appropriate data that we need, such as the texture. I guess it needs to work out all the vertices. We'll probably actually have a drawString in the renderer, which will do all this, which will figure out vertex and texture coordinates, and all this other stuff like kerning and, you know, appropriate spacing between characters and all of that fun maths that we need in order to render fonts. We'll get the renderer to probably do that, but the layer will probably have drawString since we don't have access to a renderer. We only have access to a renderer through a layer, remember. That's why I'm going to do it through layer. So we should probably have a renderable, which is going to be essentially font, right? So a renderable, we'll make a renderable called like label, for example, okay? Now label will, again, it will take in probably a standard string, right? It needs to take in an X and a Y position, and we'll give it a color as well, right? So it's got all this data. Since it's a renderable, it has, so it's got the position. Size isn't necessary because remember, all we're going to do is in the renderable's submit method, which is what it uses to, so submit takes in a renderer, as you probably remember. It takes in a renderer, and what it's going to do is it's going to be like, oh, I want this renderer, which we'll call R, to just simply draw me a string. Okay, so that's how it's going to work. So we submit labels, which are basically just strings of text, to the layer as if it were any other renderable. It's just that it's a particular renderable that happens to take in, say, this in the constructor. Okay, now the cool thing about this is that that means that if we do it this way, it will work with groups. That's another reason I should probably mention that we should actually use. We should actually get the batch renderer to do this rather than creating a whole new renderer. Because remember, if we're in a layer and we're trying to make, say, a button, and a layer has obviously to make a button with text inside or whatever, we'd use a group, wouldn't we? So we have this group which has this button, maybe some kind of background, and then text. Now, if this text is in a different renderer, we can't have it in the group. We can't have it relative to, say, this point over here anymore, can we? So that's why it's really important to do this in the batch renderer, okay? In fact, every renderer should probably have something like this. Obviously, if you have like a 3D like scene renderer, which we will have eventually, that doesn't need a font. That doesn't need to deal with like drawString because you can't do that, right? It's not something you can do because it's 3D and it doesn't deal with stuff like text. If you want text in 3D and you actually want 3D text, well, just use a 3D model or something, right? It's nothing to really require, but something like a batch renderer or any kind of 2D renderer, which will potentially be used for GUI, needs to have this here, right? It needs to be able to render these things called labels. One thing I should also mention is that batch renderer is our predominant 2D renderer. There's really not too much need for a different renderer because, again, we do have that simple renderer, which was basically just there for kind of educational purposes, right? As in, there is no reason to ever use this. It's not better in any way. In fact, right now it's incomplete and broken because we did add so many different things like textures that it just doesn't support. So what I'm saying is our batch renderer is essentially probably our only 2D renderer, right? So we can kind of, with that in mind, we can kind of be a bit more relaxed about what gets supported and how stuff gets done. But that is our plan, okay? So I like to plan these things out because again, I haven't actually implemented this in Sparky before, so I don't know what I'm doing, right? This is going to be kind of new-ish for me as well because so it's beneficial for me to plan this stuff out so I know what I'm doing, but also it's a really good habit to get into, planning out what you're actually going to do before you do it, because it will make you much more efficient and it will prevent you from rewriting code too many times. Right, so back in here, let's go into one thing. Okay, so next episode I'm probably I'm not going to do this now, but in the next episode, which is the maintenance episode, I will probably just sort this out into folders, because we were using the show all files thing before, but I probably shouldn't have been doing that. That's why we did have stuff like buffers and layers. These are physical folders on our hard drive, whereas these are just Visual Studio folders that don't actually exist. So we might do something like that. So we'll go into show all files for now. Anyway, in graphics, I'm going to add a new item called label. So we'll start with the high level stuff, just because it'll be easy and it will set the scene for us. One thing I do want to mention is a really good strategy when you're trying to implement something complex or something new, really, is to basically just write out how you're going to do it. So exactly this. This is my end scenario. This is how I want to use the API, right? That's what I want to do. I want to be able to call label.draw, our layer, right, .drawString with these parameters, and it's going to take care of the rest, right? So with that in mind, we know that layer needs a drawString method, and we want to, instead of doing this or whatever, this might actually create a layer. This might actually create a label, but we want to be able to just go layer, right, dot add, and then our label. That's kind of the plan. That's the master plan. And then this might be something else that we do. I'm not sure. That might be a quick and dirty way. And then the layer itself might actually create its label and submit it normally. So this might just be a wrapper for creating a label, right? Anyway, in our label, I'm going to go ahead and, not existing, whoops. I'm going to go ahead and create an H file. Pragma once, a header file, I should say. Let's grab our... Oh no, I called it layer and it totally let me. Oh, it's because it's in lol. Okay, I'm just going to remove it because I don't like Visual Studio's renaming stuff. Label. Okay, label. Take two. Pragma once, namespace. Class label. So remember, it's going to be a renderable 2D. Include renderable 2D. Okay. So it's going to have a few extra things, right? Such as a string. We can just call this like mtext or something. Like a label will have text, right? It will have a vec2. It'll have a vec3 position, and that's just for easy submission. You know what? It already does have a position because it's a renderable. So it has the position. It's got a size. It's got a color, which is fantastic. It probably should have something like a uint color. We might switch to that in next episode or something like that. Texture, it won't need, so that'll just be null pointer, of course. Everything else is pretty good. Okay, so back here, so we've got that, and that's pretty much all we need, apparently. Now, the font that we use is probably going to be up to the renderer. That shouldn't be the case, but that's going to be the case for now, okay? We might deal with multiple fonts or something in the future, okay? The way that we'll probably specify a font is we might do something like, you could probably load in your own font as well, and there might be something like a font manager, And then once you load in your font, you probably will pass maybe like a name, such as I want to use Arial. And we'll probably just use Arial today or something, I don't know. So that's the idea. We'll use a few fonts today, obviously. We want to make sure everything works. But when you create a label, you want to pass in a string. It can be const reference, it doesn't matter. We're going to copy it anyway. So we got a string called text. We've got we want a float x and float y, and then we want a color, which looks like it's going to have to be a thing. Yeah, I guess it's going to have to be a... I'm really going to switch to the new method, though. It has to be a vec4 right now. Color. Okay? Now, it's going to override submit, obviously. So, where's submit? Here it is. So let's grab that quickly. It's going to override this. And that's probably enough for now, at least. So let's start implementing this stuff. Okay, label. Let's grab all of our parameters from here. Okay, so m text is going to be text, m position is going to be xy0, and then m color is going to be color. That's all we need to do. So what's wrong with text? Oh, I forgot this. What? Wait a minute. Oh, we shouldn't do that. We should probably run the constructor. Hang on a minute. That's not the right button. Where's our renderer? Renderable. Okay, so we specify position size color. Yes, we don't really want to do this, and we don't need to set UV defaults. Yeah. We will call. So I guess we will do something like. What am I trying to do? Renderable 2D. So we'll call the constructor and we'll do all this stuff. Why are you annoyed? Is not member of base class. This is weird. It's being annoying. I guess we'll just set them this way then. Yeah, you probably can't use initializers with that stuff. Although, I don't know. I don't remember if I have or not. Okay, let's quickly cut that and pop it here. So, M position. Oh, that's probably why, actually. Maybe. Maybe because I forgot the maths vec3. No, apparently not. Okay, let's just do it here. Not that it matters. As in, not that it matters to us. It will fix it. But we don't care how it works. That's totally fine. Okay, so... what was I going to say? Yes, so anyway, that's done. Let's quickly pop in our submit. Renderer 2D renderer. Right, that is our, and then const, and that's our signature, yep. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to call renderer dot draw string text x, y color, I guess. I mean, that's probably, and then the renderer will handle the rest, I'm guessing. I don't really think there's too much that we have to really do. I guess not. And remember, since this label is a renderable, it should just, we don't even have to change the layer right now unless we want that that draw string, like kind of additional kind of wrapper method. So in our renderer, in any 2D renderer, right? So in renderer 2D, All right, let's go ahead and go virtual void draw string. So we'll take in the string that we're drawing as a const reference. So I'll call this text. I'll call it string. That could be confusing. I'll call it text. X, Y, and remember the size will be dependent on the font, by the way. So it's not something we do here. That's dependent on the font. Yes. So what should I say? Color. So we'll have to convert the color into. Yes, we'll do that eventually, and that should also be a const reference. Okay, cool. There we go. So there's our drawstring. Beautiful. Let's copy that and pop it into Batch Renderer 2D. Oh. None of my shortcuts work here because I'm used to a Visual Assist, and that is not here because I'm trying to be all free for you guys and not using stuff that that you can't get for free. Okay, so let's pop that in here, and finally our batch renderer has a drawstring. Okay, so now it's time to actually start using FreeType GL and FreeType, right? So in fact, we just need FreeType GL. So if I go out into batch renderer.h, let's put them here. We need to include it. So we could add it to our include path. Okay, that's totally okay. I'm not going to do that though. We're just going to go back to here, go into ext, FreeType GL, and FreeType GL.h. Okay, so we're including it now. Errors everywhere, don't worry, we'll deal with that. We'll deal with that when the time comes. Let's just build it actually, and let's see if there are real errors. Okay, so there are here. What's this? Alright, of course. What have I done? Position.x. So I guess we could just give it a vec3 or something, right? That would probably make more sense. So it's got a position and whatnot. I'll go ahead and go into renderer and change this to be a const maths vec3 position. And we'll pop that into batch renderer, of course. You guys know the drill. Okay, good. So there we go. Yeah, so let's build this and see what's up. There's a lot of errors. So they're all in wglue, huh? So what's including that? We shouldn't need that. We should just use normal glue. So let's see what is including that. OpenGL. Okay, so it's including both for some weird reason. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, great. So now this stuff is ambiguous because FreeType does it. FreeType GL does it. Great. Where's FreeType GL? I need to talk to you. You are naughty. FreeType GL. So using namespace FTGL. So how about no? How about no? Okay. No errors. Oh, errors. That's my bad though. Drawstring class. So what are we still? That's really hard to read. No vec3 const. Okay, that's weird. Oh yeah, we haven't implemented it. So what I should have done was just had some empty brackets. So yes. So as opposed to forcing it to happen, it will just do nothing, right? So I could have made it pure virtual, which means that it would be forced to be implemented, right? So kind of like an abstract method in Java, which is in a non-abstract class. So, sorry, that made no sense. If you inherit an abstract method, you have to implement it unless your class is also abstract. Or if it's an interface, you have to implement it unless the class is abstract. So in this case, yes, it means that if it's equals 0, you have to implement it. You have to implement it in the class that you're that you're subclassing from this, right? So without it equals 0 means you don't. So I don't have to implement it in simple renderer, for example. That's why this error was happening, because it wasn't equals 0, which meant that it needed to be implemented in this class, but it wasn't. Anyway, let's build this and see that error go away. Okay, great. Man, our build times are so long now. Well, they're not that long, obviously, but they're like a few seconds, which is annoying. That's because of all of this stuff. Anyway, that aside, let's go ahead and get into this and start seriously doing things. So I'm just going to hit up using namespace ftgl, right? So free type gl, of course. So this is going to this is the difficult part, okay? I say it's the difficult part because it's not easy. So we need to do a few things. We need to ftgl. So we want a texture atlas and we want a font. So we make an atlas. That's the idea. So atlas. I'm gonna say free type atlas, right? And then free type font. And I think that's all we'll need. So this is going to obviously be a font. Okay, so I believe that the way that gets created is there's a nice create method. We'll find it in a minute. That does this stuff. So we need to do this in the constructor. So in init, right, which is right over here, at the end of all this stuff, we can go ahead and initialize our font. So we'll set Atlas. I think it needs to get created first. We'll set Atlas to be, or rather ft atlas equals texture atlas. No, that's not it. It's yeah, I think it's just texture atlas. It's create or something, surely. I'll create texture. Ugh, let's just I don't think it's new. Where's free type texture atlas.h? This isn't very long, so it should have it here. New, maybe it is new. New, yeah, it is new. Okay, my mistake. So texture atlas new. So we'll make it like 512, 512. So the depth is the bit depth. We'll set that to 1 right now, which means it will output into 1 channel. We probably wanted to go RGB. We'll play around with this in a minute, but we'll set it to 1 for now. So I think what that means is it will output it into the red channel. We'll take a look at the source code of FreeTypeGL in a minute and confirm that, but that's what I think it does. Okay, so now let's begin rendering it. So the first thing we need to do is actually bind the texture. So we probably need a font. So mft font equals FreeTypeGL. So this atlas is literally just a texture atlas. So it's like a sprite sheet or a font sheet, right? Except it's going to dynamically generate that based on what we need, rather than just having a bitmap font, which is static, and it's what we do beforehand, and we're very limited by it, right? So this will generate stuff. So when we do something like texture font, no, that's the type. Texture create font. New font, texture font, no. Ugh. Let's just pop in here and see what it is. Okay, so under class view, we will probably find under the namespace, texture font T. This is so useless. Oh, here we go. Texture font new from file. Atlas size file, and size is the size of the font in points. Fantastic. So texture font new from file. That's exactly what we want. Texture font new from file. So we'll need to specify the file. It wants the atlas first. So there's the atlas. Sorry, it's ft atlas. It wants the size. So we'll say like size 20 for now. We should have some way of doing this. Again, we should have a font manager. Probably not going to do that right now. But the file name, again, we'll just go arial.ttf and we'll actually get it in a minute and set that up. That file doesn't exist yet, obviously. We'll make it exist though. Okay. Now that we've got all that stuff, the big thing we need to do is this atlas, as I mentioned, is a texture. It's just an OpenGL texture. In fact, that's what FreeTypeGL will do. It will basically get the pixels and put them into an OpenGL texture. So what we need to do is find our texture code, which is this. This is like our texture code. And we'll just pop that into here. So the TID, which is the OpenGL kind of ID that we want to... Oh, sorry, that's the... yeah, it would be. So we don't need that because it's going to be greater than 0, clearly. We'll definitely have a texture every time when we're rendering a font. So this TID, right, just becomes MFT atlas dot ID, right? That's it. So do we need to do this every time? No, we don't. We only need to do that per font, right? Because once it's bound and whatnot, we know that. We don't have a texture manager right now, which is why I'm doing it this way. We're going to, sorry, font manager. We're going to eventually have one. It's just that it's going to, it's not something I want to create straight away. I just want to get this stuff working first, obviously. So, okay, cool. So what we will do is, let's see. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and create this stuff. So, so all we need to do now is a few things. We need to query FreeTypeGL for the appropriate vertex positions and sizes, obviously, which is just vertex positions, and texture coordinates, very important. Again, this atlas is just a big map of fonts. So this atlas, just to give you an idea of what it will look like. In fact, let's just render it. Let's do that. That'll be fantastic. So what we'll do right now is this draw string. All it will do is it will go through, let's just grab a bunch of code. So this is what we need to render something. UV, so let's set this to vec2 0, 1. Is that right? Yeah. We'll go ahead and set this up. Oops. Wait, what's that? That's 0, 1, 1, 1, right? Yeah. Okay, color doesn't really need to be a thing. Yeah, it doesn't. This is just a test so we can see the stuff. Vertex. Okay, let's quickly set this up. So, maths vec3 0, 0, 0. We probably need like a submit data or something system. We'll go like 8. Probably go -8. This is actually okay, fantastic. So there we go. That's rendering this huge thing. TID will be TS, which is that thing. We need to make sure that, yeah, so we're doing that. Great. That should work. So now we actually need to add some glyphs. So this right now will probably be just this empty big thing. So if I don't even know, well, that's not going to run right now because it's not being called anywhere. But inside layer.cpp, if I go ahead and just layer. If I go ahead and just go ahead and do mRenderer draw string, so text will just be blank. It doesn't matter, obviously. We're just pretending. Okay, so inside here, no. Okay, so inside here, we will just say, again, what is it? It's like, yeah, so if we run this right now, we should just have a black blob thing or something. Yeah, so there's our texture right now. It's blank, if it's even working. Hopefully it is. So if we go ahead, and we'll see in a minute, if we go ahead and say ftgl texture, I think it's load glyph or something, or get glyph. Why are you so annoying? Something to do with glyph. That's our actual type. Okay, one thing we can do, by the way, is if you right-click on this scroll bar thing here, or the scroll area, it doesn't have to be the bar, and you go scroll bar options, you can use map mode, which is really cool. So you can see that now it's transformed to map mode, and you can actually see the code, and you can even hover your mouse over it and see this. So that's a useful thing that I forgot to set up in this version of Visual Studio, because we didn't really need it, but now it's useful. So font get glyph, right? So back out here, texture font get glyph. So what does it want? It wants the font, I'm guessing that is. So ft font, and then it wants the character code. So if we go like, I want A, and we run this. Okay, that's a problem. What is that exactly? Okay, let's just break and load symbols. So some kind of assertion is happening somewhere in font, in FreeTypeGL. Okay, so assert self. So self is null. What? Texture font T. Texture font T. Oh, of course. So the font doesn't exist. How about you tell me that it doesn't exist instead of being like lol. Okay, so we've got to actually load the font. So let's go ahead and just click the start menu, type in font, go to fonts, find any font you like, such as Arial, copy that, go into your Sparky, well, this will be, I'll push this to GitHub, but go into Sparky Core, and just paste it into here. There'll be a few of them. We only want Arial, just the normal Arial. So there you go. If you double click on that, you can see what it looks like. Cool. Let's run this again. We shouldn't get that error. Okay, cool. So there you go. And you can see that up here we've got A. We've got the letter A. Okay, and predictably it's rendering on the red channel, as I said it would be. But there it is. So the cool thing is, if we add a bunch of characters, and it's not going to start really packing them, but if we add like random any character really, then you can see that it now has all those, and you can see it is actually packing them good. Let's turn off this lighting. Where is my frag? There's my frag. So let's just comment that. Yeah, so you can see that it's, okay, it's quite small. Let's hop into, close some of these things. We don't need any of them. Into here, and I'll just boost the size. So it's 20 right now. Let's make it like 80 or something. You can see how it's packing them. So A is all aligned up there, and it's basically, it's doing them in such a way that it takes up the minimum amount of room. The minimum amount of room required. Okay, so it's taking up a low amount of room. That's what it's doing. So this is what it looks like. So now what we need to do is we need to do a few things. We need to construct our like actual geometry, right? We need to actually construct a bunch of sprites essentially that are the correct size. You can see that exclamation mark is, for example, much narrower than this letter B, right? We need to, and I'm sure if you like, you know what, let's add a glyph that's really small, like a dot, for example. That's a good idea. So now we're really testing it. I wonder if it'll pack it optimally. Not exactly. Let's see. Well, let's add that as well. Comma. Yeah, so, well, yeah, kind of. It's not really, yeah. So there you go. You can see it's packing it very optimally. But the idea is, we want to make a sprite that is the right size, and this is just one texture. So we need to adjust the texture coordinates. This might be like 0.1 U, right? The U texture coordinate. We might want to yeah, so we'll need to work out what texture coordinates we want to use and what vertex positions we want to use to construct our sprite. We need to do all that. So this is where the fun begins. And you could say that the fun never ends. But anyway, this is obviously nice, this texture font get glyph. We don't want to do that for everything. We totally could load all of them here. That might be the best way to do it. So you can do something like for char or unsigned char, whatever. This is pseudocode. Char equals like the first one. I don't know what that is. I don't think it's A. It might be A. C is less than the last character, which I have no idea what that is. Let's just say it might be question. It's not question mark, but let's just say it is. And then you could just texture. You could do this essentially for C, right? And there we go. And that would load all your glyphs. So you can do something like that, because of course these are just integers. These things, these character codes. So you could do something like that. Instead, you could dynamically load them when you actually need them. So we can do that. That's probably the simplest way. So we know this string text. We need to render each of these. So let's go ahead and loop through it. That is probably the good first step to do. So for int C, I'll call it something. I'll call it I, because I'll have C in a minute. So less than text.length I++. So char, we'll extract the character. So char C, make sure it's a reference, otherwise you'd be copying it, equals text I, right? So we're getting the appropriate okay, let's get rid of the const. Oh, it's a bit annoying. Goodbye const, and goodbye const. Okay, so we've got the character. Now we just want to basically create the glyph. So what is it? It's texture font get glyph. Font is M free type font. Character code is C. Oh yeah, so I could have used text.at I. That's one thing I probably should have mentioned. So we can probably restore const, right? Maybe not. Okay, so we could do this instead. We could restore the constness. Oh, this is just such a nitpicky thing. But we could restore the constness and just drop the reference. Anyway, let's okay, we need to actually get the glyph. So texture glyph T, maybe. Yes, totally. So if glyph is null, which if you actually read the documentation for font get glyph, you would see that it returns, it requests a new glyph from the font, and if it hasn't been created yet, it will be. So it will create it. If this isn't null, so sorry, I should say it will be created automatically. We don't need to manually be like, I'm going to create this. Obviously, we didn't have to for the other example. But if it is null, it means we might have requested a character that the font doesn't have. Okay, so for example, not all fonts would have like smiley faces or other ASCII characters, right? Or other just general characters. So that's why we need to check for null and make sure it's not null. So if so we need to do, okay, so let's go ahead and do this. Where is our code? Oh, here it is. Okay, good. So let's take one example of this. Yeah, what we want to do is we want to set this, we want to set these up. So float x0 will be so x plus, so x is our offset, where we're like, so position.x is actually what it is. So position.x, so we'll have to, so float x0 will be, so we'll have 4 of these, they're basically coordinates, right? Plus the glyph offset x, right? same for y. And then width and height, basically. So x, y, and y1, which will be x0, which is the other vertex position, plus glyph width, that's the thing, good, and height. Okay. Now we need to do the texture coordinates. So I don't know why I copied that. I guess I could have just copied this. Whoops. So S and T, we can just use U and V. That'd probably make more sense. UV, UV. Okay, so ST is also used, by the way. You can use ST instead of UV. It's up to you. So this is easy. This is really easy. We just go glyph. The reason I wanted to do it is because this kind of uses S and T, but it's alright. We'll deal with this. So U is T, obviously, and S. Sorry, U is S and V is T. Anyway, there you go. So these are, and again, this just gets. So this is the first normalized texture coordinate X of top left corner. It does this stuff for us. That's why we're using texture. That's why we're using font GL. Sorry, FreeType GL. And not just FreeType, because if we were using FreeType, we'd have to work all this stuff out, and that's madness, and we don't want to do that if it's already been done. So, anyway, now that we've done this, we can begin setting this stuff. So, we need to construct the vec3 from basically x0. So, this is the first one, y0, 0. The uv, of course, will be maths vec2, u0, v0. So since the one thing I should mention is, since our and this clearly should be that, by the way, lols. But one thing I should mention is, since our projection matrix is set up so that positive y is in the upward direction, we should use negative height here, okay? Anyway, where's everything happening? Yeah, so our TID is TS, and everything else is good. Now the color we need to set up, obviously, as well. So I don't know what comes. The order doesn't matter. I'm just doing this for the sake of code. Color equals color. And I think that we can just set that, right? What is it? Color? Oh, okay. Where's our code? So let's convert the color here. We will definitely switch to using UINTs permanently, because it's a terrible idea to not do that, really. I mean, vec4s are the simpler option, but this just, I like using UINTs for color anyway. And those of you who are following along with like game programming and 3D game programming would know that it's just much easier to do that. Well, not much easier, but that's what I do there all the time. Anyway, that's our first one. Let's do it for the other ones. And then, very important that you don't forget this index count at the end, because, sorry, not at the end of this, because each character is going to take up that many indices. Okay, so x0, our next one's going to be, I think, up, so we'll just take y1 and that one, then we'll have both as 1, and then we'll have just the x. Okay, that's it, done. I don't know what will happen if we try and do this. Let's just, well, I forgot a bunch of things, but let's just run that and see nothing. Okay, let's stop rendering. Where's our layer? Let's stop rendering this so that we can actually see things. Okay, we're getting nothing. That's all right. So, what is going on? Let's just step through this first of all. So the texture shouldn't be failing. We know that much. So the color is 0. Huh. Well, that, I would say that's a problem, but we are rendering into the red channel. You know what? Okay, let's get into our shader real quick. I think we might be doing something wrong in the shader. So for the sake of this, I'm just going to output, say, white. Okay, it's just not here at all. That's interesting. Let's take a look at, let's just step through this and check it out. So whatever, we can skip through that because we know that works because we tested it already. So TS is like 1, that's fine. Okay. What? Oh, we're not rendering any text. Lols. So, hello. Excuse me. Okay, is that a shader error? Yes. Potentially. It looks like it. That's weird. What's causing it? I wonder. Okay, let's step through this. What? Wait, that's the wrong method. Okay, okay, cool. So first character is H, get glyph, glyph retrieved. Let's get rid of that space. It's going to do all, oh my goodness. Shouldn't have gotten rid of the, thing. X0, Y0. Yep, so you can see those UVs are very finely calculated to take up the right amount of stuff. Yep. 72. Ooh. Hello. Lols. Not that that wouldn't have worked or anything, but that was wrong anyway. In fact, that's maybe why I complained. No. 1281. Why is it 1281ing me? Okay, one thing I should mention. Let's just quickly see. If we even touch the offset a little bit. So if we go back into, well, I guess if we just do, let's head into. I think we are actually working. I think it's just no, we're not. Damn. Okay, so something's up. So, that doesn't matter. So 1281 is definitely coming from there, right? No, it's not. What? Whoa, this is weird. We broke something. What did we break? We're not even... Wait, hang on. We broke something. 1281 is invalid value, I think. So that's not broken, clearly. Did I touch anything else? No, one thing we should do, this is not part of our problem, but we should do it anyway, is that. Again, not part of our problem, but we should be doing it. So this is taking in position.x and everything. Oh, but it might be... Let's quickly just do this. Okay. Okay, so, okay, yeah, that... It seems to be working. Okay, so let's change this back. Let's go into our shader. And let's revert that to text color. We don't need our intensity. Let's not go that far. Okay, cool. So there we go. And it's outputting in red. So I don't know what that thing is, but it looks like our characters are a bit oversized. So we should probably fix that. So the reason that's happening is because if you actually take a look at this in closer detail, you'll see that this is like 1 or whatever. And then this is like 58. Clearly our like entire projection matrix has a an entire like height, I guess, from clipping plane to clipping plane of 18. So that's just ridiculous. So we've got a few things that we want to do. Namely, we want to probably have some kind of scale, okay? So this should probably be set by layer or something. So we could have something like float. This is obviously terrible, but say our width is like, we know that it's 960. It's probably rendering it in that kind of space, because it's just rasterizing pixels. And our like span from clipping plane to clipping plane is -16 to +16, which is 32. So we could do something like this: scale X and then scale Y. This isn't going to stay here for long, clearly, because it only works with this one projection matrix. But 18. And then all we would have to do is be like glyph offset X. Let's divide that by that. Width and height. Let's divide that by our scale. Okay? And then everything else should be fine. So if we look at this, it should be normal size now. Okay, it is. Now our characters seem to be all on top of each other. That's not good. Probably because we haven't advanced it at all. So if we go into, so our X is our position, right? So we should, this is actually quite similar to the, so position X is, oh, that's const reference. Mother duck. Let's make int X equals position.x here. Okay, so X plus equals, I think it's just glyph advanced X, yes. So make sure we divide that by a scale. This is actually quite similar to the font rendering episode in game programming, so you might want to watch that if you want more detail on how to actually do this from a bitmap font, since we're using FreeType here instead. But you can see that it kind of works. It's a touch weird. I mean, it did... Okay, we probably need to set the kerning as well. So, I love kerning. Doesn't everyone love... Oh, did I really make that an integer? Hang on a minute. And that was the problem. We should definitely set kerning as well. So the way you can do that is... so kerning, of course, is applied for not the first character, but from now on. So what we need to do is we basically need to be like, let's get our kerning. So that's, I think it's just glyph texture glyph get kerning. Yep, fantastic. So M FreeType font. Character code is C. Is it? Yeah. So why are you mad, bro? Oh, sorry, it's for our glyph. And the character code is actually text.at. We could just use that, by the way. Text I-1. Okay, and there's our glyph. Okay, so there's our kerning, and then all we have to do is be like X plus equals kerning. Now we might have to scale it appropriately as well. I'm not sure. That was pretty good though. Let's try and divide this by X scale. Oh, sorry, scale X. Yeah, I don't know. Kerning probably does need to. It's going to be quite a tiny value though once it gets divided. So if we take a look at this, oops, it's 0. We haven't really set that up either. Some fonts will probably have that. We should support that anyway. Okay, the point is, we are pretty much ready to roll, except, and everything seems to be working. I mean, if we change the font size to be small, for example, so like 8 or something, that'll be really hard to see, but you know. You can see that if I blow it up, it's going to be blurry, but it's rendering very well. Like it's still readable, and it's totally the best. And if I blow it up to like 200, There you go. That totally works as well. So we've got very good font rendering now. So a few things that are problematic. First of all, it seems to be outputting our color in red. Why is that? Well, glad you asked. Because if we take a look at the code too, I think, are we done? I think we're done. Like in terms of actual font rendering. So we can focus on this stuff now and fine tune it. I don't want to see headers. In Texture Atlas, I think it is. Yes. So if we set the depth to 1 as we did, it's going to, as you can see, GL text image 2D into GL red. Okay, which means it's going to pop it into the red channel, which means that the red channel, if we go into our fragment shader, the red channel is what's going to have everything. So the red channel is, of course, this or X, right? So if we go vec for, say, 0, 0, and then just the red channel, and then 1 for alpha, then it will be blue, right? Yeah? Pretty cool. One thing we should do is also enable, this will make our stuff black and white, by the way, but we should probably go into layer and and enable these, because we'll see that there's probably no transparency either. Okay, cool. So, well, not black and white. Blue is what I meant. Blue and white, I guess. Anyway, yes. So you can see that there's no, this isn't transparent at all. So the reason it's not transparent is because what we really should be doing is, instead of setting it to the blue channel, we should be setting it to the alpha channel, and then this will be our color, okay? So it's a bit hard to do this, and then I guess, well, it's not that hard. Here's what we'll do. We'll go back to layer, we'll disable this, and then back in our fragment shader, we'll set this to like a color, so say I want my font to render in pink, so that's pink, right? The alpha set to, say, the red channel, so we could have just used alpha, but anyway. In main, I'm going to set the clear color to something like white, perhaps, and you should see that we don't have any problems. Like, it's totally not working. So this comes down to blending modes now. So this is actually working. This is what it looks like without the textures, because the textures, there's no such thing as transparency unless we enable OpenGL blending. So we have to go into, say, window. So where's the window? Window. That is surprisingly not helpful at all. There we go. And then when we've, yeah, so say once OpenGL is up and running, we can probably go GL enable. We don't even have, do we even have like depth test enabled? Probably not. Anyway, GL blend. Okay, and then we can set the blend function to GL source alpha, which is the alpha of the source, and then GL 1 minus source alpha. So that'll subtract our source alpha from 1. So if you want more details on this, you can Google blend functions and actually see what the functions do. But this just says like the blend function. Okay, so if we run this now, it should be okay. Or not. What? Oh. What's that? There we go. So you can see now we're totally legit, and it doesn't matter what our background is. If I drop that and it's suddenly like teal-ish, whatever, it's you can see the transparency is still there. So fantastic. We've got that now, and it's looking pretty good. Now here's where things get complicated. What if I do want to have? Remember, we want to render both the font and the sprites and everything all in the batch renderer using one shader, okay? Which is like our general purpose shader thing. Obviously, we can have custom shaders such as with lighting, but we don't really need that for fonts and whatnot. So how do we just use one shader? Because obviously this is a very special case here that we need to set for the font. So we could do something like split up draw calls, or have attributes and pass uniforms, and oh my goodness, that would, we could totally have an attribute that's like an integer or something, or a boolean, and it's just like is font. But that would be terrible. We don't want to do that. That's not really correct. So instead, we can kind of be smart about things. If we look at this looks ridiculous, but you can see that transparency is totally the best. So we do still want to basically, let's restore what it was before, which was just text color. One thing we should do, by the way, is let tint be a thing. So if we go into here, right now, if a texture is selected, then the color, which is fsn.color, has absolutely zero effect on anything. So we want to just say that let's let it still affect our texture. So if we run this, now this looks ridiculous right now because it's incorrect. If we go into, what is it renderable to? No, sprite. Then you'll see that we're setting it to pink as the default color. Let's set it to 1. Okay, let's change the clear color to black. Okay, so we've lost all of our textures, it seems. That's weird. Let's go back here. Is that because of the color? That would be weird if it was. Oh, what? Oh, and this is now. Oh, you can see how that light is just not blending well either. But anyway, that's fine because it's affecting alpha. That's a bit weird though. Why did we? That should be 1. That should be all 1. So it should just be 1 times. Let's just look at color. Oh, because it's black. So it is black. Let's head out here for a second. Oh, okay. I think it's because in our batch renderer, all I'm doing is show me the implementation, please. All I'm doing inside here is setting it. Okay, so I'm elsing it. So let's not else this. This should be always happening. So it'll be just setting white. Okay, there we go. Now we've got this. We totally lost our text though. Weird. What? Let's take a look at this. Oh no, we didn't have our text. Okay, good. Because I was about to say, whoa. So now we're doing FSN color. Cool. Let's quickly look at this. Yes, there's our text, but if we do FSN color, then it totally loses everything. We are rendering, keep in mind, we are rendering the text apparently black or some ridiculous thing. Let's set it to just white. Okay, there we go. So we're rendering our text. Everything looks good. It's not white. It's black, and it's got some weird stuff going on, but that's another story, by the way. But, like the whole lighting thing, which we won't talk about now. But I will quickly just disable that so we can actually see what it looks like. Okay, so we've lost our blending now because of a few reasons, but really it's not our correct color. So we're in this unfortunate scenario where we can't really even control what's going on with this because of the way that FreeTypeGL is set up. So we probably need to modify FreeTypeGL. I don't know. Actually, I was kind of planning on this working. So how long have we been going for? A while, an hour and a half. Next episode is optimization episode. I'm not sure if I want to. Okay, I'll just do it. Okay, I'll just do it because LaTeX is coming up soon and we don't have much time. So I've never done this before. So I've never looked at FreeType at all. So hopefully this will be not bad. Let's take a look at Atlas and see how it's set up. So stuff. It's got a lot of asserts, that's for sure. Okay, so let's just try changing this to say GL alpha. So now it's on the alpha channel instead of the red channel. It's pretty much gone. So you can see now the blending is working with lighting, but it's a bit weird. I don't know why the lighting is on. Get out. You probably also noticed that it wasn't white or any color that we really specified. It was black. So we can get black fonts rendering with no problem in the alpha. But the other thing is, by the way, our alpha is being affected by the intensity of the light. So stuff will become transparent if the light It's further away. It's terrible. We shouldn't be doing that. But anyway, out in batch renderer. What was I doing? I've completely forgotten. Yes, our color. So our color was in layer. It was white. If we change it to say pink or whatever, it's basically still gonna be black. So we can't set color the way that we would like to. Basically, that's our problem right now. So what we could do instead is probably. So we still need to store color. There's a few things we could do. Let's work this out. So GL alpha. So what we could do is use GL like luminance, for example. Let's try that. We'll see what happens. Okay, so we get pink, but again we lose our stuff. So we really want to use luminance alpha, but if it's just going to one channel, that's probably not going to work out too well. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of good, but it's not at all. So we're getting somewhere. So we probably want to use a luminance alpha, I assume. Let's add in a new mode that does this. So else if depth is 2. So we'll change this back to GL red. And then we'll change this to luminance alpha, and it'll still remain an unsigned byte and whatnot. So this, obviously, stuff like luminance alpha and whatnot takes up more than just 1 byte per like pixel, basically. So that's why we get problems, and that was actually really weird. I probably would have expected it to crash, but it didn't. So lols. Let me just think. So 2, okay. Let's go into batch renderer and we'll use mode 2. So we've made a new mode in font in FreeTypeGL. Okay, so we're getting assertion, looks like. Okay, so let's add our depth equals 2 in here, and lol. Okay, cool. So surprisingly, that's actually pretty good, apart from, everything else. But it's time to probably fix this up. So texture atlas new. Right now we're allocating a. So how's this? Is this? Calloc. Okay, so it's so self.data. So these are our pixels, right? So it looks like we're allocating yeah, that should be all right actually. Set region. So what is in here? I wish I had like Visual Assist outline or something. So it looks like. So set region looks important. What's data? Okay, so this probably sets it up. There's a bunch of assertions, we don't care about that, and it looks like it will just go ahead and basically copy a bunch of pixels into self.data. So the source is that, the size is that, and then the destination is this. So it's copying a bunch of stuff into self data, which is our pixels. So this is probably what does it. So we need to basically be like, let's have extra stuff in here. So I don't know how we're going to do this, but let's make let's make J here. So the plan is that we want to luminance alpha. So we need to set the first byte of every pixel to be white, basically, or full, So 255. So I guess we'll just... Okay, so we'll say if... So if our depth, which is self.depth, which is up here, is 2, right, which is our mode. So we'll keep doing it. We won't completely destroy this in case someone decides in Sparky to actually use its mode. So if our depth is full, we'll have okay. So row and source. So we'll say row equals, and this is going to be the tricky part because we need to get the correct, actually, it's probably just that. And then the source is what we're copying from, which is just that, I think. And, well, the spacing though, come on. Okay, so now we'll say j equals 0. J is less than width, j plus plus, j times 2 plus 0. Okay, so yeah. So we're making room for extra bytes, essentially. And we're going to just say, so what we've done is, just a quick explanation, because I don't even know if this is going to work, but hopefully it will. We're allocating basically double the amount of space. So depth is now 2 instead of 1. So where it used to be where we were allocating this much times size of that, but now we're allocating twice as much, twice as many bytes, and there's going to be an extra byte that holds our luminance alpha, so that like our luminance alpha was basically made up of 2 bytes now instead of 1. So we had GL red before, which was just 1 byte, which was just the red channel, and it was like kind of like a, it was just, yeah, again, it was just in 1 channel. Now we've got luminance though, so this will be just full, right? So 255 or 0x FF if you want to be all cool and hexadecimal. And then we'll set the offset at 1. So I'm just doing this plus 0 stuff to make it more apparent in the code. Will just be, I think, so source J. Lols. Hopefully that will work. Build it. So let's just okay, so it just looks like it's been cut off or something. So that's not bad. Where's that font? Let's say that if our depth is 2, we'll set it to 1. Because I think our depth stuff will break a lot of other stuff. Oh my goodness. Is this real life? I think that works. Is that a black outline? No, I think it's just aligned with that. Holy guacamole. Okay. Let's... 0, 0, 0. Well, it appears that we are in action. Yes. Fantastic. So, yeah. I mean... Okay, cool. I'm just thinking if there's anything else that I missed. I don't think so. Yeah. So the problem with the depth was that all of the widths were getting calculated wrong because there wasn't a case for depth equals 2. So we should just be able to still use the same spacing and all of that stuff for fonts that are like this. But with Luminance Alpha, we can basically, as you can see, use the same shader and the same system to get that stuff to work. So yay. Okay, so let's go into here and play around with a few of the settings. Batch renderer. So we'll change, so this is 2 permanently now. We'll change this to like 80 or something. A good example would probably be to like, okay, so what's a good open source font? I'm just going to ask the stream. What's a good open source font? I'm sure Arial's, I probably can't, like, probably not up for licensing or whatever. Like, as in the license is probably not free. If anyone knows of a good open source font that I can just upload to GitHub along with this, we'll do that. But if we go out into layer and stop doing this stuff for a minute, but I don't know why we're doing all this stuff in layer. Let's expose this properly in the API. So we've got labels now, right? And labels we'll call drawString, right? So we should just be able to say layer.add okay, so I'm just looking at the stream. So a few people are saying I should use Source Sans Pro. So I'll use that. So that looks free. Oh, it's an Adobe font. Okay, cool. So I'll use that in a minute. But so new label. Let's include label. So text is, we can do something like, we need to set text and whatnot. Here's what we'll do. We'll pop into label quickly and we'll just move this into public and call it text. And yeah, X and Y and whatever. You know what? I'm just going to do this. It is better. So in labels here, we'll set position. Position doesn't matter, and color. But what if people try and get the position? They shouldn't. So that's why I don't really want to. Unless I just say position is a thing. I could do this, right? I could just say. You'll see what I'm doing. So I'm going to make a maths, because I just don't want M position. Obviously that can't be exposed really. And that's going to be a reference. Totally gonna work. Apparently this isn't. Oh, that's not a thing anymore. There we go. So now you'll see my plan. Label FPS. So we're going to print FPS because why not? Let's finally do that. New label. Oh, well, we don't need to really specify text yet. I'll just say FPS for now. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't know, 0, 0 for now. Color, that's the only annoying thing. What's a good color? White? I don't know. Pink? Who knows? So we've got that now. Let's add that. And then what we want to do is say FPS. So text equals FPS. Let's just do std to string FPS, which we'll make in a minute, plus that. That should totally work, right? That's not a thing. Oh, so FPS probably isn't a thing. Yeah, that's probably why it's called. Oh, F. Int F. F equals frames. Let's take a look at this. Hopefully this works. Okay, it does. Cool. So there we go. There we got our FPS now just being displayed as fonts. Totally. Looks like our frame rate took a bit of a plummet actually. I'm not sure why that is. Hopefully we didn't do anything too slow. That's a massive font, by the way. So let's just, yeah, we don't need to give it any text to begin with, to be honest. So 0, 0 is a bad location, and also let's I could have just set it to frames. What was I doing? Sorry, I'm quite tired today. I apologize for this lengthy video. I was making the font smaller. So, like 30, 32. Oh, that's probably a good size. So, let's get rid of. So the reason I had that set up is because if it wasn't labeled, if we were actually calling drawString, we would actually need F, but we can just use frames. Because that'll get set once per second anyway. What I'm saying is if this was outside, we would need to have F. That was my thinking behind that. Okay, let's position that a bit better. So yeah, but the idea is we can change our position and whatnot. So I could be like position FPS dot arrow position dot x plus plus, and every second it will just advance. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty cool. So that was just a cool little trick as well to get it to do that, because it was yeah, it was something else, and then I just made a reference to it because I wanted it to be called position. I wanted it to be public. Anyway, now that we've done that, let's get rid of most of these things. So I think we're pretty good. Well, there's probably one thing I wanted to do, but I don't remember it anymore. Let's set this to like 15, and you can see it's relative to our thing as well. And like 8, I don't know. It's gone. Yeah, that was way too... That was harsh. Let's just set it there. That should be alright, right? That should be like up top left. Yeah, there it is. Oh, we're still x plus plusing. 15.5. Let's just set it to black because... Or we could make here's what we could do if we want it to be cool. We could make a group which has a matrix. So we can pass in, probably make a constructor that just takes in vec3 as well, but we can pass in. So what do we get? What do we come up with? Negative 5.5, maybe 7.5, 0, right? We can add the label to the group. And just set this to like 0.5, 0.5. So this is why I wanted it to be in the same renderer and everything. That is not what I had in mind at all. We're transformation stacking, right? Oh, well, we're adding FPS and not the group. Okay, good. So we're up there now. Let's 15.8, and that looks like it should be lower. Okay, that's good. And then what we could do again is, since we're in the group and whatnot, we can just be like group.add new sprite 0, 0, the width and height of whatever. Not that it has a width and height, but we could set a width and height of like 2, 2 or something. That's ridiculously wrong. So maybe that, I don't know. And then color can be something like I don't know, something cool. That's cool. And it's probably going to render in the wrong order, but that's alright. And we're missing that. So this is probably going to render in the wrong order. Oh, actually, no, it's not. So there we go. That's wrong, but it's almost right. Yeah, anyway, you can see that we have this kind of situation where if we wanted a background for the FPS, for example, that is possible. And let's set the color back to like white. Or, you know what, like grey, but almost white. Oh, no. Alright. There we go. Pretty cool. So I'll make this, like 5 or something. Okay, cool. So anyway, you can see that you can do something like that because they're being rendered by the same thing, and everything is just really cool. So that is the idea. In fact, I might make this. Oh, and now that we've got blending, actually, you can be like 0.5F alpha. And are you ready for your mind to be blown? Look at that. Transparency. Pretty cool. So that's awesome. So yeah, you can do something like that, and that's totally okay for the FPS. Okay, cool. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So let's grab this font. I wonder what it looks like. One thing I wanted to point out quickly, though, is, yeah, this does work with everything else. So let's obviously try it with Comic Sans, the best font in the universe. And also Gonzalez, because that's like a cool font as well. So we'll get rid of that, so Consola, I guess, which is just, yeah, okay, that'll work. So this is just for testing. We'll load Comic, and it should just work. Yep, so you see our FPS is now in Comic Sans. Let's draw one more text thing as well, so maybe layer.add new label, hello world, 0, 0 will be fine, maths vec4 1 0 0 0 1, and I might just make the font bigger, just well, it's fine, you guys can see. So there's Comic Sans. No, you guys can't see because it's tiny. In fact, you know what I'll do? I'll quickly just, in main, I'll get rid of this. And I'll make this white. And it'll be so much easier to see. And then I'll just make this. So we definitely need some kind of font manager. We'll do that. Maybe episode 21, we'll see. 82. So there it is. There's Comic Sans. Hello world. -5. Okay, fantastic. And then if we wanted Gonzalez, or Consola apparently, then there you go. Cool. So totally the best. And it will do all the nice symbols that exist. So that's cool. Anyway, that is the general idea. So let's grab this Source Sans Pro. I guess we'll grab the source code release thing. Let's just go into here and see what's up. Roman, maybe. We regular, I guess. I don't know. Font.tff. Let's click on that. View raw. It's gonna let us. Oh, it's just gonna download it for us. That's fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted. So let's grab that. Go into Sparky. We'll delete all the illegal fonts. Source Sans Pro. Let's look at it. Yeah, that looks pretty good. That's fine. What is a light one? I usually like light fonts, so let's look at the light one. Not extra light, just light. That doesn't look any lighter at all. What? Oh wait, they're both light. What? What? I don't understand what's happening. Doesn't matter, we'll just use the one that we've got. So Source Sans Pro. Okay, so now you know what happens when it can't load characters. What? What? Why what? Why did that happen? This is interesting. Source Sans Pro. Oh, so maybe the light one was a bit lighter actually, because this isn't the light one. That's so weird. Let's look at downloads real quick. So this was regular. No, that's now light. So I must have deleted the other one or something. But no, they're the same. Whatever. Okay, so what exactly happened though? Why is it failing? Source Sans Pro. That's it. Well, it's definitely loading the file, because if I wasn't loading the file, it'd be, well, that. That's some ugly assert thing. Odd. Let's quickly look at this. Where are we? Here we are. So I'm guessing glyph is just returning null. Or something. No, but it's not. See, it's not returning null. Because it can't be. Otherwise, I wouldn't be rendering the character at all. So, whoa. Oh, that's Control F11. I didn't mean to set into disassembly. I meant to hit Shift F11. So it's not null. It's just weird. And that's like, it's just like, oh, I know what the offset is. I know what's going on. That's so weird. Let's... Let's try changing it into an open type font. Don't know if that will do anything. No, it's a hater. It is a hater. Let's try, so, Roman Masters. What's that? I don't know what this is. That's not what we want. Let's try light. Why are they all called font.ttf? Like, seriously, come up with a better name. Oops. It looks like the same one. Really confused as to why this isn't working. Well, I guess we'll look at all of these open source. Oh, Source Code Pro. That's cool. Shell. Yeah. Download the fonts, latest release. Source code. I don't really want the source code, but okay. Fine. Longest episode ever again. Yay. Okay. TTF, please. Okay, let's just take light. There we go. So weird. That's a hideous font. Maybe we should have just downloaded the other one. Maybe it didn't download it properly. Because I hit view raw or something. Source Sans Pro. That's what we wanted, right? Releases. Source code. I don't know. That's a very bad font. I do not like that font at all. Look at it. It's weird. It's bad. Not cool. Like it doesn't actually look that bad here. So maybe it's just my font rendering. Maybe it's just on black. I don't know. It should look the same. Those L's though. See, I don't like that. I'm not a fan of those L's. Like, that looks good. Anyway, let's not talk about it. Oh, it's got the nice dot and the 0 as well. I like that. Are you done? What? Was I downloading stuff? I probably opened. Yes, here it is. So, TTF, light, please. So if this doesn't work, that's gonna be weird. Hey, okay. I don't know why it didn't work before, but it works now. So let's change the size back to like 32. And yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's make it white though, because I don't like that grey color. Oh, it is white. Is it? That doesn't look very white to me. Oh no, wait, that's white, but that isn't. I was going to say. Okay. There we go. So there's our FPS. Everything is fantastic. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of font rendering. Of course, let's turn everything else back on. So you can create labels. Drawstring might be a thing in the future, but right now you can just create labels, and that's definitely the best thing to do, I think. Oh, I know what's going on. Wait, no, I don't. That's weird. Why is our alpha so like, I don't know, it just looks kind of, that's fine. There we go. Alright, cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Next time it's going to be a nice relaxed episode in which we're going to just go through all the GitHub issues. So one final reminder is to go to github.com/Luciano under Sparky. If you want, you can open an issue here. I'm going to go all through all of them next episode, which I think will be on Saturday, for those of you watching the live stream. And we'll probably refactor a bunch of things and fix it up. So if you guys enjoy this video, please hit the like button. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Vroom.